Hello everybody, welcome back to Level 1 News. Today is Friday, and it is March 18th. This weekend is my cousin's baby shower.
Oh, how exciting.
Yeah, I get to go to that tomorrow.
What a time to be having a baby.
You should protest it. Like, take a Ukrainian flag and protest it.
How dare you have any joy in your life right now? I've already got her gifts. They'll be here, hopefully, if the snow doesn't delay them.
Well, you're cutting it kind of close, aren't you?
I've got like a week before her shower.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
The previous. Oh, yeah.
We're recording this in the past.
Time shifting.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about some social media. And this, Axios is reporting something. I don't know how true these numbers are, but this does give us some hope for the world. Because the worst of us are the heaviest tweeters.
The new silent majority, people who don't tweet.
Dab on them.
Woo!
He says,
You don't tweet that often.
knowing that he's part of them.
I tweet a lot.
A lot. Some people tweet a lot. You
What's
don't
your
tweet that
daily
often.
average, do you think?
I don't know.
More than 10?
No, definitely not.
Between 5 and 10?
Probably less than 5.
That's probably like...
You tweet like maybe once a day, if that.
That's functional alcoholism / drug addiction level right there. No one would necessarily know it, but there's serious repercussions.
Sometimes I tweet just to make a note to myself to do something later, and it's like, I'm going to take a picture of this so that I remember, and then people are like, this is neat, and it's like,
Yeah, that's the same kind of insanity that would be like painting the outside of your house with the blackboard paint and just scribbling all over it.
That's a cool idea.
That's insanity.
That's a cool idea.
That's madness is what
I
that
should
is.
paint my front door with that, and then you can color on it.
And then somebody shows up, puts a swastika on it, takes
Oh,
a picture.
yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't think about. I was thinking like, oh, my nieces could come and draw on the front door. That'd be cute.
Oh man, maybe just keep it to yourself, just like the Twitter people should. Well, we do a podcast, but we do it very infrequently.
We
In
do it
fact,
often.
sorry, patrons.
criminally infrequently, considering people give us money. But we're going to try to be better. However, we probably won't get this deal.
YouTube offers popular podcasts $50K in cash to pivot to video. Starting up video production is expensive, but YouTube is willing to help with that. Yeah.
Not a bad deal. I imagine you have to have a pretty big audience, and I don't think if you had a big enough podcast audience, you probably didn't need that $50K.
Right.
But it'd be nice.
What's the one where they solve old murders? They're surprisingly successful at that.
There's quite a few murder mystery sort of podcasts.
Spotify has all like the podcast roundup, and I'm just not interested in any of it.
Yeah, I don't like podcasts that well myself. I'll listen to them occasionally.
There's one or two that I listen to, but a lot of times for me, a podcast has to do with the guest rather than like the Joe Rogan. I'm not necessarily interested in the Joe Rogan podcast. When we have certain guests, I'm like, I want to hear what that person has to say.
See, I like certain topics. Like, I'll listen to someone talk about like their experiences backpacking or something, but even that is not always the case. Like, some of them are like,
I wonder if Howard Stern looks at Joe Rogan and says, man, I put too much effort in.
Howard Stern, like,
from a different era.
Here's the crazy thing about Howard Stern. If you go back and look at him, I was a big Howard Stern fan when I was in college. If you look at him during like the 80s and 90s, when he was, like just the filthy bathroom humor, Howard Stern, he made a big transition at the turn of the century, and he became something a little different. It was still sexual and stuff like that, but the humor changed in a big way. And he's a chameleon, and he's brilliant because he saw woke and cancel culture coming before a lot of people did. And he transitioned again, and now it is absolutely unlistenable. It is just garbage. It's amazing that he just like completely reinvented himself because he was like, all right, I see what's coming, and I don't believe in any of this, so let me just be whatever they want me to be. He said that Jennifer Aniston looked like she had a smelly vagina. He said it on more than one occasion. Then he did a woke transition. He became part of their world. He goes to her vacation beach house with them. It's an astonishing story. I hope somebody makes a documentary about it someday.
Well, it probably benefits both of them in a weird way, isn't it? Like, no one in that world is really friends. It's all just about networking.
But his whole persona was that he was not that. He was one of us. And then one day he was like, you know what? I think I'm one of them.
Yeah. I make a lot of money.
They have yachts.
Anyway, that doesn't have a lot to do with Facebook, except that probably if I posted that there, it would be rejected because that's not allowed.
Facebook group admins can now auto-reject posts that fact-checkers have debunked. Who's fact-checking the fact-checkers?
That's the whole thing, isn't it? But you don't have to worry about, dealing with those individual posts anymore. You can just subscribe to the blacklist. It's like ad blocking.
How long before it takes a couple of points off your social credit score if you don't subscribe to the auto blacklist?
Yeah. You could be experiencing misinformation. That could be dangerous. The other thing that could be dangerous is just watching your television, because your television is absolutely spying on you. And you might say, hey, no. I don't have a smart TV. I have a regular TV. Do you have a streaming service?
HBO hit with class action lawsuit for allegedly sharing subscriber data with Facebook. I'm really waiting for AT&T Uverse to get caught up in this as well, because there seems to be some sort of incestuous relationship between like the Sci-Fi Channel and AT&T Uverse and HBO, because it's like, oh, this IP address is on the list.
There's probably some sort of common
Yeah.
owner, right? Because those charts, have you seen those charts?
Where there's like 5
It goes
companies.
back to one entity every time.
How bad do you think Disney is? I bet Disney's way worse about sharing data.
Disney's analytics on people is probably just unsettling.
But I don't think Disney probably doesn't partner as much, right? They probably have it all in-house. Control it themselves.
I think actually I've seen Disney in the future depicted really well in sci-fi. Altered carbon, like what the meths experience in daily life is probably like the trajectory of the Disney Corporation.
Listen, you got to make some sacrifices to create all that magic.
I hate Disney
Blood
so
magic.
much.
Well, Facebook, we learned, I think last week before, that they were relaxing some of the rules on speech because people were saying things that were pro-Ukraine but were anti-Facebook policy. And that created a sort of a conflict. It's like, we can't be shown as not being supportive of these people, but we do have these rules that are supposed to be applied across the board. Let's just change them. And this week, let's change them a little bit more.
Facebook and Instagram are allowing calls to violence against Russians temporarily. If you're in the Ukraine, I guess it's like you can defend your house with deadly force. You can defend your neighborhood with deadly force.
You control local Russians on Instagram and Facebook.
No, well, so here there are some specific rules. You're allowed to say that you wish death upon, or that someone should kill the military, but not the Russian civilians. And of course, anything you say about Putin's fair game at this point.
God, that is exhausting. How many people just write F Putin under stuff, and it's like, this is not helpful.
It's that one, I swear, that historian guy where he's like, this is not hard to figure out his motivations. He's just a 19th century guy. That's exactly what it is. It's not anything more complicated than that.
But we can't say that guy's name because that guy's now on the list of disinformation.
It's not 4D chess. It was literally just, don't do this. This is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to respond. And it's like, well, he responded exactly the way that he said he was going to. That's not good.
We're getting into dangerous territory here, but we actually have policies here in this country that match that exactly. And those calls for people to be killed are against the rules. These rules were set out, and we paid a lot of attention to them during the Trump campaign.
Yeah.
And guess who was a big part of that story? Vladimir Putin. So he's seen all of that, and he says, wait a minute.
Russia opens criminal investigation of Meta over death calls on Facebook.
And they can't even access it anymore.
It seems like this drives more nails in the coffin of these companies ever coming back to Russia, right?
It's driving more nails in the coffin of a global
internet.
Not just a global internet, a global community. You will never be able to travel outside the borders of your country and feel safe.
Certainly not Russia, right?
Yeah.
Although I think there are going to be a lot of Russian people who just travel out and never come back.
I think that's already happening. They said that Finland is getting a lot of Russian people trying to get out.
Well, if things continue, Finland will not be Finland if the trajectory continues.
Surely he wouldn't attack them. I say. Surely he wouldn't. Well, because there's other smaller, weaker countries. I would think Finland would be like lower on the list.
If the MO is getting the band back together,
Yeah, I
Finland
guess-
was definitely in the band.
But how much reserve force does he have? Because all of his mobile, like, active forces are now in Ukraine, right? Or so we're led to believe.
I imagine he's still got some on the other side of the country. I mean,
You
you
gotta
can't
have
leave them
it-
all defenseless.
He uses a National Guard as his own personal defense, not the military. I think that's just because he doesn't trust them. But how much can you put out there and leave yourself defenseless at home?
I don't know.
Those are questions that probably beyond this particular YouTube show. But let's say that, let's say you hate Russians, right? And they're coming out diaspora. Is it diaspora or diaspora? I think it's diaspora.
I've heard it diaspora, yeah.
They're coming out around and you're like, oh, I hate them. I'll never be around them. Well, what if one gets into your Tinder? There's some good news.
Tinder rolls out in-app access to background checks powered by nonprofit Garbo.
What a name, Garbo.
Now, here's the thing about it. This is free with a big giant star next to it. It's free for your first 2 uses and for globally the first 500,000 uses. What'll that be, like a day?
Yeah.
Then it's going to be, I think, what, $2.99
Yeah.
per lookup. $2.50 plus a transaction fee, so $2.99.
Screw that.
But I don't know. I mean, wouldn't you pay it? I think women, especially.
Probably, yeah.
You gotta do your creep in the old-fashioned way.
What if you can't find me? What if I'm not on Facebook?
And you probably don't
and-
match with them, right?
And my Twitter account is only my cats.
You don't match.
Really?
Yeah.
You just completely shut it out?
Yeah. When it comes to safety, hell yeah.
Yeah, but so you're restricting your dating pool to only heavy social media users?
Only to people I can find information about.
That's a mistake. Well, Joe Biden is a fossil.
This is a funny headline.
Oh, yeah, I wasn't even talking about this story. Just that
Just in general, just making a statement.
it's just that we're being led by a corpse.
The Guardian's headline is Joe Biden is a fossil, 328 million years old fossil. A vampire squid has been named after the president.
Do you think this came across his desk and he was just like, what? Okay. Like,
They named it after him in honor of his commitment to address climate change.
Yeah, I thought...
does he have much of a commitment to that?
Probably
Oh my
less
God.
so this week.
No, absolutely. Chris, you're not paying attention. He is giving the Greens whatever they want. That's the whole oil argument right now. Because everybody's like, hey...
But prior to this whole conflict thing breaking out, he wasn't really making
Absolutely.
any massive strides on it.
No, he absolutely was. He's doing whatever AOC and that bunch tell him to do. Which is just bizarre because he ran as a moderate.
I really hope we in America get some modern nuclear reactors.
I don't think
I'm
we're
not
even
holding my
talking
breath.
about it. No, but that's not on his agenda either.
No.
He's all about wind and solar
No.
and nothing else.
Solar might not be awful if we can lower the production cost, but
Krista, on the first day of office, he shut down that Keystone pipeline. That was massive for the Greens.
yeah.
You're not giving Joe the credit he deserves or the discredit. The thing that drives me crazy here, so we're getting paywalled, but in this article, they point out that Obama had a bunch of fossils named after him, and so did Trump, but the Trump ones were all awful stuff. Like really crappy animals and like,
What?
embarrassing.
Why is that a thing? Why do people do that? What a weird naming convention.
Because it gets support for science. Like people say,
Gets
oh,
you-
scientists.
Yeah, they're trying to get money, I
Get
guess.
you a
yeah.
headline.
Yeah.
You can take a shot at Trump, right?
Yeah.
This new nuclear reactor, the ultimate in green energy. As in it literally glows green. Woo.
Well, the console wars are still hot. It's weird that the console wars now are not as much about like who makes the better console because they're pretty comparable. It's about who has the exclusivity deals, and that makes people really angry. They get really, really up in arms about it, even in some bizarre situations like this.
The doctor apologizes for ranting about console wars from operating room. This is one of those operating rooms where they have a gallery, and this is a doctor who is, I guess it was doing a routine procedure, or they were documenting this for medical students or something like that. Something like that.
No. He was specifically recording this to make a statement about consoles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He had to...
He was the anesthesiologist.
And the surgeon. He was
Okay.
doing it all. And so the quote he made was, I'm here doing this thing or other, and at the same time slandering my identity profession because you Xbots can't argue facts. Like, he was just picking back up an argument he had been having on Twitter
Wow.
about the consoles.
That is wildly unprofessional.
Yeah. So he's now being review bombed, his clinic, and
That's not fair.
some people are looking into this
Aw.
from the regulators.
He probably deserves to have a regulator look into that if
Well-
he's doing it while he's doing a procedure.
And he panned around the room, which showed the person unconscious on the
Right.
table.
That's a violation.
That's very illegal.
That's frowned on, yeah.
Deeply frowned on.
Illegal, in fact.
I saw this headline everywhere.
Yeah.
I hope this is blown out of proportion.
They're already in Georgia.
Even though it does say that they're harmless and their fangs aren't long enough to really penetrate human skin, I don't care.
They're big.
I'm not into this.
Millions of palm-sized flying spiders can invade the East Coast soon. A huge invasive spider from East Asia has swarmed Georgia and could soon take over most of the
They're
U.S.
bright
East
yellow.
Coast.
Look.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not a good picture.
The good thing about them, well, they've only got the one picture. The good thing about them is that they're easy to spot.
Yeah, they're bright yellow. That also makes it look smaller. I mean, it's not like the size of your fist, but they're pretty good size.
The other thing that Scientific American somehow overlooked, and I don't understand how they did this, these spiders pro-Ukraine.
They've been here before. I think they've already found them in Georgia, and they expect once the summer months hit, they'll start spreading north.
I used to get a lot of those garden spiders, which are yellow like that.
Mm-hmm.
You ever get those? Those things are horrific looking, but they're really good for your house. But do I really want to spend time with a garden spider? Got to have one black hole story a week, right? You just
It's been
have
a
to.
lot lately. 2 black holes collided billions of years ago. The spectacle is just beginning to reach Earth.
So there was a ripple in space-time. Woo!
That's cool.
It's going to be a supermassive black hole because that's what happens when. I guess you wouldn't call that mating, right?
They're collapsing together.
Like Elon Musk and Grimes.
Like modern society.
Aw. I hope this isn't the great filter.
Yeah, what a terrible filter. We didn't have time to do anything really impressive. One thing that this woman did that was impressive is that she got a really cool license plate. Now, this article points out that they granted her this license plate, but then revoked it after they said they got several calls to complain about the license plate.
Who's the jerk who's complaining?
They should identify those people, and we should wipe out their entire bloodline. We should go back and forward as far as we have to. I don't care if we have to kill babies, because we need to get that out of whatever that is. We got to get rid of it.
North Carolina woman fights to keep her fart license plate. I too had a similar thought, which is, how can somebody possibly be so joyless that they want to take someone
Yeah,
that away
they
from
want to
someone?
take the farts away.
Or have so little going on in their lives that this becomes a big thing to them. So now she has organized a defense for this, where she says that she's not talking about farting, she's talking about
Friends of Asheville Recreational Club.
trails. Yeah.
Trails, yeah.
A trail group, which didn't exist before this, but actually now does and is having meetings. You think she could get just a synonym? Poot.
Poot's funnier. I would like that even more if I got stuck in traffic behind that.
Toot. Although people would probably just honk their horns at you, right?
Yeah,
Well, Krista, you are a hiker,
right.
and you've never had to be rescued.
No, hopefully never do.
Have you ever had a scare?
No, not really.
What would you do if you felt like you were in danger on a hike?
Well, I guess this would kind of count. One year we did a backpacking trip over a long weekend. It was right before the thing happened, and it was really, really cold, which was fine, but then it started to just pour rain and ice on us, and we made the decision to bail out a little early because we were like, there's nothing dry here, the rivers are rising, we need to go.
Did you immediately the next day make the exact same mistake?
No, we were like, we're going to stay home because it's still raining and freezing and the rivers are rising.
It's probably the correct choice.
Yeah. New York City man rescued twice in 2 days on Arizona hikes. These weren't moderate hikes either. I think he was going up like a 13,000-foot mountain.
Boy, here I go, getting lost again.
Yeah. Well, and it was snowy conditions, and like it takes a long time to make it up a mountain that high. And he was like, "Oh, I thought I could do it in like 2 hours." And it's like, what?
Well, that was day one.
Yeah.
And then they rescued him and they said, listen, this is a serious trail. You are not ready for this trail.
And it's snowing. Yeah. He wasn't equipped for it either, apparently, but he didn't have an ice axe or anything.
So what he did the next day was do it again, and he fell down a ravine and hurt his leg. So that one required a helicopter.
I wonder if they made him pay for it.
I think everybody should have to pay for that.
Yeah.
That's crazy that we use
Definitely-
taxpayer dollars.
Definitely do need to bill him for that.
They should bill him double. You know what? They should get a new helicopter, and he should be the one
Levy an idiocy tax.
that pays for it.
There's a $2,000 idiocy surcharge on my invoice.
The amount of, so I follow the local search and rescue groups from some of our trails around here, and like the amount of posts they've had to make in the last 2 years since the thing started, where it's literally every weekend. It's like, hi, someone went out here wearing sandals. They had no water, and it was like 8 o'clock at night. And then they complained they couldn't find their way back. They were a mile from the trailhead. Please don't do this. Please take a map and water, and make sure you have a flashlight if you're going out late. Like, just basic stuff.
It's super depressing because we have that American spirit of like westward expansion and just going off into the unknown. But we don't have any of what made us good.
The skills, yeah.
We're just idiots now. We're like idiots that want to go get into stuff.
It's not even a skill to just carry some basic things like a map and water. But
Well, it's clearly something that some people don't have.
Couple
Yeah.
granola bars for energy.
yeah, right. Just if I had to spend the night out here, I could do that. But people just don't do it.
Well, Krista, another thing that we know about you is that you love cohabitating with bats.
That happened a few years ago. Yeah, it was not great.
Yeah. You were the bat chose you.
Oh,
That's him calling right now.
3:15.
thank you. Had an alarm set from the other
You
day.
remember me, Krista? You remember when you just left me to die? So I don't think it's that particular bat, but it could be.
He could be flown all the way out there.
He could have flown to Austin.
Real bat disrupts screening of The Batman in North Austin Theater. He was a little baby bat, the one that got in my house. Maybe he's grown now and he's just out there
What's the
doing bad
lifespan of a
things.
bat? I think we discussed that when you had your original bat
I don't
problem.
remember.
And I don't remember what it was.
I have a bat box at my house. I haven't hung it up yet, but
They had to pause the movie. It's like, wow, the special effects in this movie are so real. And then it was, no.
someone's like, "Oh, I've been bit," and then they have to have a rabies shot.
I think this was also one of those dinner theaters. So they had food.
Ooh.
And they told the people, they were like, listen, just come to the next showing. We'll pay for your food. We'll pay for your tickets. You can just do it all again. And they were like, no, we're going to watch it with the bat. And they did. They also think that someone might have brought the bat in.
How do you do that? Like, how do you just pick him up and just
Because
be free?
it's already hard to sneak stuff into a theater, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're going to step up security and search people to try to find bats coming in.
That's going to make it real hard to sneak your snacks in. Not that I've ever done that, but, you know, if you did hypothetically put snacks in your bag, that's going to be hard now.
Yeah. That's probably why they're doing it, right?
Yeah, probably.
They're using that. Never let a bat crisis go to waste.
Waste.
And we have a lot of international well-wishing for the Ukraine. I mean, is any country other than China and North Korea, like Syria maybe, there's 5 or 6 that are in that collective that aren't saying good things about Ukraine, but also some really unexpected countries.
The Taliban have called for Russia-Ukraine peace, saying they fear for civilians. Yeah, it's getting real dicey for civilians. Some really unpleasant things happening. And
I love the Taliban LARPing as like a major power.
As like a legit government.
Yeah, they're always doing those statements and stuff. It's just so good. So good that they're doing that. What if we're in some kind of crazy future where they eventually, you know, it's like fake it till you make it, and they're accepted and they become a major world power, a democracy?
I'm
Might
curious
be a
for
net positive for everybody, right?
I'm really curious for our Canadian viewers to comment if the next thing is real.
Well, it doesn't sound that close,
But
right?
it might be a local.
I always
local
thought
joint only.
when I only read it as a younger man, I always thought it was Putin. I always thought that was a better word. Putin doesn't sound right to me. But Putin, You could get confused, especially a little bit of a French accent on that.
The Vigor Times says that a Canadian diner has renamed poutine because it sounds too much like Putin.
Now, this diner claims to be the place that invented poutine. Do you believe that?
No.
No.
It's a good marketing gimmick.
Yeah.
So they wanted to rename it to La Frite Fromage Sauce, fried cheese gravy.
Oh, come on.
It's not as catchy as poutine at all.
That's like when we tried to rename French fries to freedom fries. Doesn't work.
And we've learned a lot about people defrauding the loan system that happened with the pandemic. We had the couple who was doing the testing stuff and getting all those loans. They bought supercars. There were some other people that bought mansions. This one is maybe the dumbest one of all.
Georgia man who used relief funds from the pandemic to buy a Pokemon card has been sentenced to prison. Georgia man has been sentenced to federal prison after he lied to obtain a business relief fund. So it's like, hey, if you're, during the thing, if you're going to have an underflow or you know that your customers aren't going to pay your bill, you can get a loan. And then if you meet certain requirements, and you don't lay people off, you don't do anything terrible, they'll forgive the loan.
He did something terrible.
He did something terrible. And
So-
he's going to prison.
What that means is that the United States government now actually owns a super rare Charizard.
Probably a foil Charizard from the original deck.
Well,
Everyone wanted that when I was a kid, and no one had it.
Well, Joe Biden's got it.
Oh. He'd be so cool to 12-year-old me.
You think he could trade it to Russia for peace?
He could donate it to Ukraine.
Yeah.
They could auction it off.
This looks like, what the hell is this here? I don't...
I love how, it's like a major story about a crime and they have to put the word Charizard in there. That just delights me. Now, I was not aware of the legend of this stone, were you?
Nope.
No, this just came out.
Sounds pretty cool. Sounds very anime.
It does.
Yeah, but apparently it's way before that. This is an ancient stone, and unfortunately, its job was to contain a demon.
In Japan, the Killing Stone has split open, unleashing the legend of a trapped demon.
Put him back.
I think it was a her.
So,
Oh, right.
yeah.
It was the spider one, right?
It was one that had tried to kill one of the emperors in the mythology. Sessho-Seki is a stone that kills anyone who comes in contact with it. Evil nine-tailed fox who took the form of a beautiful woman named Tamamo no Mae. So a furry demon. I don't understand, like, all these rocks look the same. Why that one in particular?
Maybe it was larger before it split.
Where do you think this demon will stand on the Ukraine issue?
That's where she's going. That's where she's headed right now.
Well, which side is she? What's she doing?
That's a good question. I don't think the Japanese have any love for Russia.
Oh, yeah, the
Historically.
islands.
Yeah.
They're like, no, it's a sign. We need to take the islands.
So you think that demon is pro-Japan?
Maybe
Yeah.
she's opening up a new front on the eastern side of Russia.
Yeah, it's like Japan's going to retake the islands that are contested, and then that's going to trigger a bunch of things. So it's not really that they're for Japan; it's that they're for conflict.
Now, if you're Putin, do you consider a demon attack to be worthy of nuclear response? Because that's what we really have to worry about here.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Scary.
There's not really a lot of options left,
Now, we have talked.
Anti-demon weaponry.
We've talked in the past about geese and turkeys who harass postal workers. And in my mind, I'm always thinking, like, how do you have the patience to deal with an animal that you can just easily kill if it's just pecking at you? It turns out I'm not alone.
A feud between mail carriers and wild turkeys has come to a deadly end near Sacramento.
He clubbed this asshole. He got him.
He had a stick, and this turkey was not backing down. They talked about how it was they had a guy who came out who worked with turkeys to get the corpse. Said it was the biggest turkey he's ever seen.
Apparently, the house that they were delivering to apparently feeds the turkeys, and that's why they've become so aggressive. And this is not the first time it's attacked one of the mailmen.
But here's the thing. Those townspeople claim that the turkeys know all of them and are perfectly fine with them. And the owner of the house had been out there earlier in the day, probably feeding the turkey, and the turkey was cool, but they said that as soon as that USPS truck is visible, the turkeys just get crazy.
The USPS had to put out a statement and was like, "Oh, we will be investigating this, and this does not represent who we are."
I think this guy's going to lose his job, and that's not fair.
That's not fair.
It's not fair.
What is he supposed to do? Just be harassed by a turkey?
If the turkey is charging you, you stand your ground.
Yeah.
But I guess the
Stand your
postman,
ground straight.
they have to have encountered all this stuff with dogs, right?
Yeah.
Like there's probably a real hearts and mind type of thing. It's like you could never kill the dog. And now they're probably going to apply that to the turkeys as well.
But a turkey is not a pet.
Well, they're feeding it.
An ill-tempered goose.
Somebody in the comments, Chris, is going to have a pet turkey and they're going to be angry with you.
Well, I mean, some people raise turkeys for meat. I've never heard of someone keeping them as a pet.
There was one time I punted a goose, and I thought that I did real damage to it, and it was just kind of a reactionary thing because it jumped out from behind a thing and was like going to pinch me, and I punted it, and I landed a perfect punt on it, and it went flying.
Geese are mean as hell. You don't mess with geese.
Because I was kind of startled.
Did it back down after that?
Yeah, it just sort of stumbled off.
Listen, that's how you deal with terrorists.
You just gotta kick them.
It kind of rolled like a football for a little while, and I thought it was dead, but after about 5 seconds, it sort of stood up and wandered off.
I learned an important lesson like that. Actually, you probably crushed its little ribs and it just went off to die.
Oh, when I took Rue to like the park or something near the lake, I have to be very mindful to keep her away from the geese because Rue has no concept of like that could hurt me. She just wants to run up and play with it.
It doesn't really hurt when they bite you. It's just like a little pinch.
But the way
They're
they hiss
aggressive.
and like they'll chase you. Yeah.
It also made an unsettling sound when I kicked it.
Do you think that guy, the moment he felt, because when you hit something hard and you can feel, it's like, oh, something smushed when I did that.
Ooh.
I've killed this animal. Did he have a moment of satisfaction, like finally this stupid turkey, or is he just like, oh God?
Probably that reaction.
I've
That's
killed
what
it.
Like his heart probably just fell into the bottom of his stomach.
Whoops.
Well, a lot of people love animals, and they will do a lot for them, including staying in a war zone and being shelled.
India doctor stranded with a jaguar and a panther in Ukraine.
One of those little guys is only a 6-month-old cub.
Yeah, but they're still very big
That
and
is-
dangerous.
In terms of like profile pictures for social media, that's
Yeah,
a pretty good one.
Pretty amazing.
I would put that on a t-shirt.
So this guy obviously cannot leave because the humanitarian corridors do not take big cats. Now, you can't put one of those in one of those rescue vans.
No.
So he just have to sit it through. I mean, Krista, you said Bru's not really bothered by fireworks very much, right?
No, not
but
really.
some dogs really are.
Yeah, they get freaked
And
out.
Russian shelling is going to be a lot more extreme than a fireworks show. So these big cats have got to be terrified.
You know what I was thinking as I read this? Messi the Puma, they're not getting any money anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Does
Feel bad for those guys.
do your cats react to fireworks?
And Gerda the cheetah, too.
Yeah.
No, my cats really don't care too much.
Yeah. Ruth's never been
You know what
bothered.
scares my cats is the subwoofer. If I'm watching a movie and, something really, like, especially a low tone in the music, like a, Crouton is just gone. He will not
Wow.
tolerate that. Yeah.
Cricket's very interested in the TV when we turn it on. He likes to look at it and just...
So the other problem that this guy's going to have going forward, he's already having that, but he's going to have even more going forward, is these guys eat a lot of meat. And you can't just go to the grocery store anymore. So he says that he's going over the border and paying like 4 times the market price for the farmers.
Not great.
has some dark connotations of where that could go.
I saw one of those shelling videos, and there was a dog, and you didn't see it, but it sounded like the dog got hit by shrapnel. That was really sad.
I have to not watch some of that stuff because I can't.
Yeah. The one where it was just a family and they just got a direct hit.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Like they're just laying there.
I didn't look that up at all because I was like, I don't need to see that.
There's a pet carrier next to him, and whatever's in there is dead, and it's just like, wow. That obviously, if you think about the big picture, that's more depressing. But when you see it like that,
Yeah, I read the description and was like, that link's staying blue. I don't want to see that. That's sad.
yeah, well, got to know what's going on in the world, Krista. Got to know the darkness to avoid it. And some of that darkness has to do with insider trading. And you're thinking, you're going to talk about Nancy Pelosi again, right? No.
A new one.
This one's actually a little bit more obvious. And yet they claim, just a coincidence.
Lucky Activision stock purchase that led to a $60 million profit is under investigation. So all three investors have ties to Activision Blizzard CEO Bobby Kotick. So just 3-4 days before the Microsoft acquisition, they bought a lot of Activision stock.
Not only do they have ties to that guy, like crazy historical ties, they were really good friends and they really knew each other well. These don't seem like the kind of guys to me who were playing Call of Duty and interested in Activision because they're big gamers.
Yeah.
Like, why would they be interested in a video game company?
Definitely seems like insider trading. But they're wealthy, so nothing will probably happen to them. Now, if it was Martha Stewart, on the other hand...
She's got to go to jail.
Oh, she had some other problems.
Also,
a little bit more of a paper trail?
other Blizzard news. I didn't include it because it's not really relevant to many people, but Overwatch 2 beta coming out late April.
Oh.
Sounds like a distraction.
Yeah.
Now, is that still going to be just Overwatch with a new skin?
Kind of. It's more like almost like a DLC because they're doing a lot of PvE stuff. So instead of PvP, it'll be like new PvE maps.
Are you into that?
I'll try it out. Especially if they do like the free weekend things that they do. I'll try it out and see if I like it.
Oh, you're going to buy it. Come on.
I probably will. But maybe I won't like it, and then it's like, oh, I wasted $40. So I want to try it first. But
Just let Reborn Dimension buy it for you. Thanks, Reborn Dimension.
He got a Zomboid, right? It's a good game.
Not only did he get Zomboid
We have
for
more
the
money,
two
right?
of you, there's like $75 left on a gift card that he gave me.
Wow.
Yeah. Next game we want, we can check it out.
Woo! And he bought me several games, one of which I've not played at all. I feel bad about that. GTFO. Are you guys into GTFO?
Haven't played it.
Chat. Is GTFO good and should we play it? I mean, I already got it, so I'm going to eventually.
Let us know
Let us know.
in the comments below.
Woo!
All right, we'll see you guys next week. Hopefully. Bye.